Hello students. In my last class, you learned about the three layers of the earth, that is crust, mantle and core. You also learned that the core is again divided into outer core and inner core. And you also learned that the outer core is in liquid form, right? Now, in today's class, we will discuss about the different types of rocks, okay? So, on the basis of the formation of their rocks, they are classified into three types. What are the three types? These are igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. So, these are the three types of rocks which is formed because and which are classified. Okay. So, what are igneous rocks? We will learn what are igneous rocks. The term igneous is derived from the Latin word ignis, meaning fire. The interior of the earth contains very hot molten material called magma, and when the magma reaches the earth's surface through cracks and crevices or through volcanic eruption, it is called lava. You all know that, right? You all know about the volcanic eruptions. You know, in India, which one is the active volcano? That is, in India, the name of the active volcano is Barren Island volcano. Okay, and it is in Andaman Island, and it is the only active volcano in India. Okay, and you will be surprised to know that it became active after a gap of 150 years. Okay, so you know about the different types of volcanoes. There are three different forms of volcanoes, that is active, dormant and extinct. So active volcanoes are the volcanoes which can be active at any time, right? So it can be a gap of many years and it can become active suddenly. What are dormant volcanoes? You know what are dormant volcanoes? Dormant volcanoes are those type of volcanoes that have not erupted in a long time but are expected to erupt any time in future. Okay, so those are called dormant. Dormant volcanoes are also called sleeping volcanoes. Okay, so they can be active any time in future. Now, what about extinct volcano? You know what are extinct volcano? So the volcanoes which have not erupted in human history, that is counted in 10,000 years. Okay, so which the volcanoes which have not erupted in this period of time, that is 10,000 years, and is not expected to erupt any time in future, those are called extinct volcanoes. So now you know about active, dormant and extinct volcano. Okay, now there will be a question in your mind that which is the largest volcano on earth, right? So the largest volcano on earth is Mauna Loa on Hawaii, that big island. Okay, so it is in Hawaii, and you must have heard about Mount Fuji, right? It is in Japan, right? Japan's Mount Fuji is an active volcano. Okay, and it is also the second highest volcano located on an island in Asia. Okay, so these are the information about different types of volcanoes. Okay, we'll move ahead with the chapter. Okay, so we know that igneous means fire. Okay, and we have already learned that the liquid outer core, right? The liquid outer core contains hot molten magma, right? So we know that the liquid outer core has hot molten magma, and when it reaches the surface of the earth, how it reaches the surface of the earth? The magma will reach the surface of the earth through volcanic eruptions, right? When there are volcanic eruptions, this magma comes out from the interior of the earth to the surface of the earth, and when it comes to the surface of the earth, it is called lava. Okay, and cooling and solidification of molten magma either inside the earth or on the surface results in the formation of igneous rocks. So now you know how the igneous rocks are formed. Okay, so they are formed by the solidification. When the molten magma, it solidifies, it gets into the solid form. Either it can be inside the earth where the magma is present, or it can be when it comes out in the volcanic eruption, it can be outside. Okay, when it comes from the inside of the earth, so when it solidifies outside of the outside on the surface of the earth, then they form igneous rocks. Now we will know that as I told you, that it can be formed, the igneous rocks can be formed either below the surface of the earth, as I told you, when the molten magma is present, or it can come out in the form of volcanic eruptions, and when it comes out, it is called lava, and then it cools and it becomes the igneous rocks on the surface of the earth. Okay. The magma cools slowly below the surface of the earth, resulting in the formation of large crystals. Such rocks are called intrusive or plutonic rocks. Okay, so as I told you, the igneous rocks, when formed inside the interior of the earth, and it is a slow process and it takes a lot of time, and then such rocks are called intrusive. You know, you from intrusive you can find out in mean inside the earth. Okay, so intrusive or plutonic rocks, and the example of intrusive rock is granite and dolerite. Okay, now when the magma comes out to the surface during the volcanic eruptions and then cools down, the process takes place rapidly. So the process of solidifying, or when it comes is more faster. Okay, the process of solidifying is faster when it comes out. Okay, then when it is inside the earth. Okay, so the magma comes out to the surface during the volcanic eruptions and then cools down. The process takes place rapidly, resulting in the formation of small crystals. Such rocks are called extrusive or volcanic rocks. Volcanic, when the magma is coming out, that is volcanic rocks. So you now get the difference between the intrusive rocks and extrusive rocks. Intrusive means inside the earth. So like when it is the rocks are formed inside the earth, then it is called intrusive, and when it is forming, the igneous rocks are forming outside on the surface of the earth because of a volcanic eruption, then it is called extrusive or volcanic rocks. Okay, you got the difference now? And what are the examples of volcanic rocks? That is basalt and obsidian are good examples of such rocks. Now, igneous rocks are also called primary or basic rocks because all other rocks are directly or indirectly formed from them. So they make up a large percentage of the earth's crust. So igneous rocks are also called basic rocks. Okay, primary or basic rocks because all the other rocks anyhow they are like related to these igneous rocks. They while in their formation, igneous rocks, they are directly or indirectly formed from the igneous rocks. Okay, now igneous rocks is clear to you. Now we'll move to sedimentary rocks. Okay, now the forces of nature like running water, moving ice, winds and waves are constantly breaking down the rocks on the surface, earth's surface, into smaller fragments. These small pieces of rocks are called sediments. Okay, now the forces of nature, like if you have seen that when the water runs through a piece of rock for years, like for many years the water is running through the same piece of rock, then you will see that there is an erosion. Okay, there is an erosion, and then that if continuously when the water runs through the same rock, then the parts of sediments, like there will be erosion on the rock, and the part of the layer of the rocks starts like eroding. Okay, so Even the water or ice, winds also, there is an erosion on the rocks because of winds running, like flowing wind also, and waves also. Waves also, if you have seen on the seaside, that when it constantly hits on the rocks, when the waves come and constantly hit on the rocks, there is an erosion on the rocks. Okay. And there is continuously hitting of the waves on the rocks, leads to what happens, the rocks, they starts breaking into small fragments, okay, small pieces, and these small pieces, these are called sediments. And sediments can be of different size, like it can be a gravel to sand to clay or silt. Okay. So what happened, when these sediments, when the sediments are formed because of the forces of nature, like running water, moving ice, winds and waves, they are transported by rivers and deposited on the floors of lakes, seas or oceans. Okay. Due to heavy pressure, they get compressed and are cemented together, resulting in the formation of sedimentary rocks. So all these sediments, when collected together because of the pressure, and they get compressed and they become into sedimentary rocks. So sedimentary rocks are formed with the help of the sediments. Okay, sediments of different types of rocks. Okay, so they are formed from the sediments. And sediments, as I told you, sediments are the small pieces of rocks which are being collected because of the erosion of the rocks. Okay, so as the deposition takes place in layers or strata, sedimentary rocks are also called stratified rocks. Now, as I told you, that the sediments are deposited and then they get compressed and they become sedimentary rocks, and it happens in layers. Okay, it happens in layers, and so they are also, the another name for sedimentary rocks is also stratified rocks. Stratify means strata as layers or strata. So it is also called stratified rocks, as it is formed because of the deposition of the sediments in layers. So it is also called stratified rocks. Example of sedimentary rocks are sandstone, limestone, clay, shell, chalk. Okay, so these are all examples of sedimentary rocks. You will also be surprised to know that sedimentary rocks constitute about 70% of the rocks exposed on the earth's surface. So as I told you, that it is, sedimentary rocks are formed by the sediments collected or deposited from different types of rocks because of the forces of nature. So they constitute about 70% of the rocks that is there on the earth's surface. Now, one new term for you, that is fossil. Okay, now what is a fossil? You already would have learnt about it, but I will again repeat it, that fossils are the dead remains of plants and animals of past times and found in sedimentary rocks. So fossils, we know, are the dead remains of plants and animals. Okay, and it is basically found in the sedimentary rocks. And one good example of sedimentary rock is coal. Okay, one good example of sedimentary rock is coal. And petroleum and natural gas are also found in the layers of sedimentary rocks. And these are what, you know, what kind of fuel these are called? These are called fossil fuels. Okay, and we know this is very valuable for us. It's very much required. So petroleum, and we get petroleum and natural gas from the layers of the sedimentary rocks. And one more term you should remember, fossil fuels. So petroleum and natural gas are an example of fossil fuels. Okay, now we'll move to the next type of rock, that is metamorphic rock. The term metamorphic is derived from the word metamorphosis, which means change of form. So metamorphic is derived from the word metamorphosis, and which means change of form. Okay, a change of form into a completely different one. Okay, that is also one word we can use is transformation. Okay, there is a huge transformation. So metamorphosis is the change of the form into a completely different one, and in one word we can call it a transformation. Okay, so when igneous or sedimentary rocks are subjected to extreme heat and pressure, they undergo a complete change in their form and characteristics. Okay, so we know that how are metamorphic rocks formed. So they are formed from the igneous or sedimentary rocks when they are subjected to extreme heat and pressure. Okay, so when igneous and sedimentary rocks are subjected to extreme heat and pressure, there is a complete change in their form and characteristics, and metamorphic rocks are formed. Okay, so this is metamorphic. Metamorphic, the word itself describes the type of rocks, right? As I told you, metamorphic, meta is coming from metamorphosis, and metamorphosis means complete transformation. Okay, so from that term only you can identify that how it is formed. The change may occur as a result of volcanic activity, movement in the earth's crust, or simply due to heat and pressure deep inside the earth. So how the change is occurring? Because of the volcanic activity, or if there is some movement on the earth's crust, or due to heat and pressure. Examples of the metamorphic rocks are marble, slate, gneiss and quartzite. Okay, so these are the examples of metamorphic rocks. Now here also it has been written that they have been formed from limestone, shale, granite and sandstone with a change in their chemical composition. So you already know that limestone, shale and granite, limestone, shale and sandstone are sedimentary rocks, right? And granite is a igneous rock. So these are formed, as we have already discussed earlier, so they are formed from the transformation of sedimentary and igneous rocks, and because of the extreme heat and pressure. Okay, now we will now move to the importance of rocks. So we learnt about so many, like 3 types of rocks, right? Now we will know why rocks are important for us. Okay, the first point is, in ancient times rocks were used to make tools and weapons. So it was used for making tools and weapons. Second, rocks are used in construction. So it is also used for construction work. Rocks contains minerals which are the raw materials used in many industries. We have earlier read that minerals are being extracted from the rocks, right? Now, rocks contain fossil fuels which are the main sources of energy. This also we read that which are the 2 fossil fuels which we get from these rocks, that are petroleum and natural gas, right? The types of rocks found in an area determine the type of landform, drainage and soil of that area. So seeing the rock type of a place, we can find out what kind of landform or drainage or soil or what that area has, what kind of soil, landform and drainage system that area has. Some rocks are sources of precious gems and stones which are used in jewelry. So this is also one important fact you come to know, that the gems and stones are extracted from some of the rocks. Okay, so these are the importance of rocks, and you should remember all these points. Okay, now next one, rock cycle. Now what is a rock cycle? So rocks go through a cycle of transformation. When we have discussed the different types of rocks, we have already discussed that the rocks, they go through a cycle of transformation. Magma rising from below the earth's surface solidifies to form igneous rocks, that we have learned that outside also it's solidifying, and inside the earth also it's solidifying to form igneous rocks. The rocks are broken down to form sediments. That also we learned that sedimentary rocks are formed by the breaking down of the rocks because of the natural forces, right? The forces of nature. Now, Igneous and sedimentary rocks are changed into metamorphic rocks due to extreme heat and pressure. That also we have discussed. When rocks are melted by heat, new magma is formed. So this is called rock cycle. So it is running, the formation of rock is running in the form of a cycle. So if you on page number 105, if you see the rock cycle, you can see the magma chamber. When it is cooling on the surface of the earth or inside the earth, then it is becoming igneous rock. Because of the erosion of the igneous rock, sediments, we get sediments, right? Sediments, when the pressure, when it is like pressure, and when it gets the pressure and cementation, then sedimentary rocks are formed, right? Then again, when it gets the heat and pressure, igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks, when it gets into heat and pressure, it again transforms to form metamorphic rocks, right? And again, when the metamorphic rocks, they get heat, they are melted, like, or they melt to form again magma. So again it is coming to the basic point of magma. Okay, so that is like through this whole cycle, they again come back to in the form of magma. Okay, so if you see this rock cycle, you can understand the formation of different type of rocks. Okay, so children, so today I hope you have learnt a lot from this class. So in the next class, we will move ahead and we will continue with the exercises given in the book. So you draw that rock cycle in your notebook, as well as you have to do the structure of the earth. So you have to do 2 diagrams in your copy, that is the structure of the earth and the rock cycle in your notebook. Okay children, have a nice day. Thank you.